Hello and welcome to this half an hour of exploring the nature of attention, exploring the nature of how we are aware of anything at all. And as an introduction for this meditation, I'd like to say that use an analogy that most of us have held a lot of things in our hands over our lifetimes. And you can probably think of, you've held things in many different ways. Sometimes you've gripped things and wouldn't let them out of your hand, let go. Sometimes you've stood on the edge of a big drop and held onto a railing for dear life, tight and firm. Sometimes you've maybe held a weapon to protect yourself. Sometimes you've held a child carefully and tenderly. Sometimes you've held, maybe picked up maybe a butterfly has landed on your palm and you just held that almost weightless creature in your hand, open, careful, tenderly. Sometimes you've held something that was fragile, very gentle holding. All kinds of ways in which you've held, all kinds of things that you've held. So there's two things. There is what you're holding in your hand and how you're holding it in your hand. Same way with awareness. There is what you're aware of and how you're aware of it. And the same way with the analogy of the hand, how the mind knows something, how the mind attends to something, can be tight, can be under pressure, can be holding on tight. It can be loose and light and soft. The mind's equivalent of an open hand. The mind's equivalent of a gentle hand, the way that you would hold maybe a newborn baby so gently. Or maybe the way you would pet a cat with an open hand and with care and attention. Or the way that you would put your hand on the back shoulder of a friend who is having a hard time. All these different ways that you would can be aware. And in mindfulness practice, we are not only noticing what we're aware of, the breathing, the body, the sensations, the sounds, the thoughts, the emotions, but central to it all is to start being sensitive to how we're aware of it. And it may be we bring with us a lot of extra effort in how we're aware. Some people bring a sense of duty and obligation. There's a big should, I have to do this. Some people bear down with their mindfulness, like I have to really penetrate and understand this. Some people are spinning a lot of thoughts about what they're aware of, kind of holding themselves at a distance from it. Maybe because they don't want to feel it, or maybe because they feel like they have to analyze it. Some people pull back, where the awareness is kind of rejecting something. Some people lean forward because they want to savor it and enjoy it and keep it as long as they can. In mindfulness practice, the art of it is to keep the awareness, keep the way that we attend to anything at all, keep it calm, relaxed, open, as if the mind doesn't move. The mind just is here, available. The mind just knows. The mind doesn't have to do anything, doesn't have to tighten, doesn't have to hold anything. It just is available. It just we allow experiences to arise in the mind, arise in awareness. Anything extra is something that through mindfulness meditation we slowly, bit by bit, learn to recognize and let go of. So to begin, by assuming a mindful posture, and gently closing your eyes. And as you're here now, how would you characterize your ability to be aware? To be mindful, to attend to the present moment. Is it weak or strong? Is it clouded over by a lot of thoughts? Is there a lot of energy, activation in the mind that makes the awareness scattered or jumping around? Is there any tension or pressure in the awareness? A sense of reaching forward, wanting something. Is there a sense of inertia or resistance, pulling back, collapsing, maybe wanting to give up? And as if it's okay to be any way you are, with your mind, with your awareness, for 5 breaths, breathe with that. Just know it. Allow it to be this way. Counting 5 breaths as you feel it, accompany it, allow it to be. And when you finish your 5 breaths, lower yourself, lower your awareness, your center of gravity, into the torso, to where the movements of breathing come and go, appear and disappear. The movements of the chest, the belly, and then in a gentle, not such big way, allow your breathing to take some fuller breaths, expanding more fully as you breathe in, and a long exhale in which you relax the body, soften in the shoulders, the chest, the belly. maybe with the same way of breathing or a little bit less full. As you breathe in, feel the thinking mind. And as you exhale, relax the thinking mind. Letting your breathing return to normal. And now, as you breathe in and breathe out, know that you're breathing in and out. Feel the sensations of breathing in and out. Be aware of the sensations in the body of inhale and exhale. And then notice how you're aware, how you know, how you sense. And as you breathe in, can you open awareness, the sense of knowing, the sense of feeling, as you would open a clenched fist. Open your hand, open the hand of your awareness. And on the exhale, relax and soften any tension associated with awareness. Allowing the meeting of breathing and awareness to be a peaceful meeting, calm meeting place. And it's sometimes said that when the mind gets involved with thoughts, that the mind is wandered away. And with that metaphor, people bring their mind back to the present. But the mind never goes anywhere. It's always here. When you notice you've been involved in thoughts, don't move the mind. Let the mind be peaceful and calm. Relax the mind and allow breathing to reappear in the mind. might have attitudes of being for or against what's happening, reacting to what your experience is, how you are. And to know that, to feel that, and allow everything to be in awareness. In an open, gentle way. always two things happening. There's what you're aware of and how you're aware. In a caring, gentle way, adjust how you're aware so it's calm, peaceful, without any tension, pressure. And in being aware this way, now, how is it to be aware of whatever is happening in the present? And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to now, as you're breathing, notice the quality of your mind, the quality of attention, awareness. Has it shifted from the beginning? And in that open awareness, clear awareness, to open up to the wider world, people who you'll see and know, and offer goodwill. Have a well-wishing for this world, so that the meditation practice you do is for the sake of your own well-being and the well-being of everyone. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. And may we live with this attitude, with this orientation, so that our awareness touches everything, everyone, with our goodwill. Thank you. So I see that there's a number of people who there was no sound. And I don't know so much about how YouTube works as a receiver of it, but I do know that it will often freeze. It often no longer, not freeze, but often lose its internet connection. And so if there's no sound or no movement, the most useful thing to do is to either restart it or go look and see on the bottom of the YouTube video if it says, there's a little light that goes on red if it's live. And if it's not live, then it's not live. And so you're probably, you know, behind in time or frozen. So I don't know what this is about, why so many people today had difficulties. And there was no difficulties here. One thing to also try is we have closed captions available. And if you turn those on, if they're not coming on, then it's probably something on your end. So maybe it's a problem in YouTube's end. So welcome to the fifth talk for part 2 of Introduction to Mindfulness Meditation. And as I did at the end of last week, the final instructions for mindfulness is to understand the instructions as a way of bringing mindfulness to all aspects of our life. I once introduced myself as a mindfulness practitioner, Vipassana practitioner, to wonderful Jesuit priest who was also a Buddhist scholar and had lived in Japan for many years, China for many years, and very knowledgeable of religion, very deep practitioner in his own right. And I told him I was a Vipassana practitioner, and his reply to me was, "Oh, uh, you practice 360-degree awareness." And I was delighted to hear this description. That 360 degrees means awareness is available and open to everything. And what I learned was that sometimes that 360-degree awareness, that we include everything in awareness, is we pay attention to one thing at a time, but we're available to everything. So one thing arises and we're just there to feel it, to know it. Something else arises, we're there to know and feel it and experience it. But the sense that all the doors and windows are open, and all there is doors and windows, and everyone is open to whatever is going on. But a part of this also is to be aware of, to include an awareness, to have all-encompassing awareness that includes everything. One of the things that includes is how we're aware. So it'd be like someone who learned that the practice means to feel and touch everything with their hands, and so they go around, touching everything. But then no one had told them it's not just touching things; it's how you touch is important too. And some people have the kind of, are very aggressive with their touching, and they're slamming into things. And other people are tentative, and they just barely touch it. And whatever they're touching, if it's a living being, like another person, the person doesn't even know they've been touched. It's so tentative. And so it's possible to touch things in a simple, non-aggressive, non-tentative way, just touching it, simple, relaxed, peaceful way. And maybe if it's appropriate to touch another person who's maybe troubled or anxious as a friend, and you touch their shoulder, the way you touch it just feels peaceful. It feels calm. It's not demanding, requiring anything of your friend that you're putting your hand on their shoulder, but also you're really clearly making clear you're here for them. It's not tentative. It's not resisting. So in the same way with awareness, the way that we're aware, the way that we're mindful, how we're mindful is very important. And at some point, as we get into this practice, and for this practice to be 360 degrees, it isn't just around us like a light in a lighthouse that shines in everything around it. At some point, the light turns around 180 degrees and looks at itself, knows itself. And so we know whether how we're aware is tense, there's pressure, there's resistance. Does the how we're aware come along with an attitude? Does it come along with some emotion? And that's there. Does it come along with some beliefs, some thoughts, ideas that are maybe very subtle, but we're including, we're knowing that, or seeing that. Does how we're aware come along with body sensations? I've been very aware of something, very interested in something, and I'm leaning forward, and I could feel a little tension in my lower back. I can feel some tightness in my belly, and so the and so that sensations, I can feel something because of the sensations. That how I'm aware. So I'm a little bit distracted by all the chats that say you lost sound. So how aware, and so these beginning instructions, breathing, body, emotions, and thoughts, they now can include how we're aware, because all three of those can come into play in different ways by how we're aware. So we can ask ourselves, to go through almost like a checklist. I've been aware now for 5 minutes, 10 minutes in my meditation. How am I aware? How is there any? How is it with my breathing? Is my breathing tense? Is the breathing being held? Some people hold their breathing, like suddenly there's something intense going on in meditation, and or is an interesting sound that's make worrisome outside. And now as we're paying attention, we can feel the breathing is a little bit held, tight, and maybe shallow. So how is breathing affected by the way we're aware? What are the physical sensations that come into play as we're aware? Because we're participating, we're leaning forward, we're pulling back, we're getting tense, being aware. And then what are the emotions that are there as part of awareness? Maybe there's a feeling of discouragement, oh, this is too hard. And so the sense of this is hard comes along with awareness. There's a sense of enthusiasm. This is wonderful. This is cool. I can't wait for more. Or something interesting. Uh, and um, and and so then and then so and then there's the thoughts, the beliefs um, that we go on. Oh, this is so important. I have to do it a particular way. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. Not supposed. This is not supposed to be happening. Um, so there's all these beliefs. I'm going to be enlightened any minute. And so the idea is to become very simple, a radical simplicity. And the little slogan is, if it's not simple, it's not vipassana. And so that's kind of like the North Star of this practice, is to learn this 360-degree awareness that includes all of our humanity, all of who we are, to learn how to be aware of it all in a calm, relaxed, even, open-handed way, and then to and then to also be aware of how we're aware, not all the time, just from time to time, and and how we're aware of awareness is also important to notice. So there's a kind of this stepping back. How is this now? How is this now? That highlights if we're doing anything extra, any extra tension, any extra pressure, any extra giving up, any extra collapsing, any extra conceit, all kinds of things that are extra. And the greatest joy, the greatest benefits of this insight practice comes when we can be clearly aware, at ease, at rest in the present moment, just aware without anything extra. And that it starts giving us a taste, a glimpse of what freedom from clinging, freedom from attachment, freedom from suffering can be like. So I hope that you appreciate this instructions, and it gives you something to work with, and you might spend today or this weekend kind of looking and considering and reflecting about how you're aware, how you are being mindful when you practice mindfulness. And you might even, if you have a friend who does this kind of practice as well, you might have a conversation with them about the how you're mindful, how your awareness. What are the different hows? What are the different ways that you are mindful in different circumstances, different days? What are some of the forces in your life that affect how you're aware? Become more cognizant of the how you're aware, how you're mindful, how you know, so you can be wise about this and be able to know, be aware, be mindful wisely and beneficially. So thank you. Um, so let's see if there's anything here at IMC we can do about so many people having problems with the sound um, and things. It might be on your end. Maybe there's a lot of storms around the country right now. But I will see if there's anything here. And I'll be back next week for the holiday week. The only thing that maybe is a little bit challenging is that I'm called in for jury duty on Tuesday, and the courthouse is very close to here, so I think it's probably likely that if I have to go in, that I have time to get there from here, and I can still do the 7 a.m. and but we'll find out how that goes next week. So I look forward to being back, and thank you all very much for being part of this. And